Next week on Thursday, Chapter 9. Gloria in the Garden. Power was restored late the next afternoon. An unforeseen glitch caused by a plant malfunction created a domino effect and blacked out the entire province of Ontario for several hours. 9/11 was still relatively fresh on the nation's mind. The authorities leapt to reassure. Canadians heaved a collective sigh of relief, and our family made it out to the airport on schedule. Roller coasters and wild water rides are not my cup of tea. I am predictably prone to motion sickness, but in spite of the minor irritation, we had the time of our lives. David and I allowed ourselves to shed the unwieldy weight of litigation and financial strain we'd borne over the past 4 years. Neither of us referred to the lawsuit. We deliberately steered clear of the topic. I wondered over the next 2 weeks, as my mind wandered away from Disney several times a day, how Harold was doing. I couldn't wait to see for myself that he was all right. Harold was in the reception area to welcome and usher me into the office. I was stunned to see the changes a fortnight had brought. His gait was a lot less steady, and he teetered backwards as he walked in order to maintain his balance. It was progressing at breakneck speed. The iron hand descended and clamped around my heart as I began to wrestle the frog in my throat. A mist rose unbidden to my eyes. His smile was dazzling when he reached out and enfolded me in a skeletal embrace. I smiled back, lacing my arms loosely around him. I could feel the knobs on his backbone. We settled into our usual spots, he behind his desk and I in the client's chair. Harold's hands lay idle in his lap. He made no effort to type his thoughts out today. The screen facing me remained blank. I filled the conversational vacuum with every detail of my time away. He was eager to hear. When I finally stood up to leave, he leaned forward and punched on the keyboard. The words rose on the monitors. Call Gloria. She wants to see the garden. I picked up my handbag. I will, I promised. His eyes met mine and his mouth moved. Thank you. I love you. I contacted Gloria that night. She was pleased to hear from me. The doorbell rang at 1 o'clock on the dot the next afternoon. Gloria Wiseman had walked down from the office. She looked hot and bothered, as I'd expected. Her car was out of order, but she'd declined my offer of a ride. She thought the exercise would do her good. The day was warmer than the forecast predicted. Pregnant clouds rolled away the moment we stepped out into the backyard. An arrangement of sunflowers, rushes, and ivy in a wicker-encased wine bottle adorned the glass-topped patio table. Orange juice in a sunflower-spattered jug, a tray with matching cups, and a plate of warm walnut chocolate chip banana bread completed the repast. Gloria was effusive in her praise of my bower, and I knew she wasn't being insincere. We sat outside amidst the barrels of flowers, blooming baskets, and twittering birds. The drip-drip of the fountain water was a soporific backdrop to our conversation. A stiff breeze suddenly tipped the patio umbrella, whipped it around, and toppled my sunflower centerpiece. The ensuing laughter reached deep into our hearts, warmed our souls, and drew us closer to one another in spirit. Gloria looked thoughtful. Tell me, what is your relationship with Harold? She seemed curious, a little puzzled. She turned ever so slightly, adjusting her position so she could wallow in the glory of the garden and still look at me as we conversed. I never really thought about it till last evening, I replied. He reminds me of David, except his nose is larger and his ears not so large. I love his mind, and he makes me laugh. Her eyes grew soft, and I read understanding in them. He knows how to laugh all right. Tell me about Pauline, she continued. How did she cope with ALS? How far do you think Harold has progressed in the disease? She listened intently as I talked about Pauline's courage, her inner strength, and dogged belief that she would be cured one day. How far had Harold progressed in his disease? I dared not tell her what I thought. Gloria's brow puckered. I think he has had it for years. There were things I noticed. My son did too. I spoke gently. Are you preparing yourself for the ultimate finality? Does one ever? There was the tiniest tremor in her voice. Who knows where he'll be? He may end up in your garden. In my garden? I didn't think she was being flippant. There's another shore, I heard myself reply, my eyes fixed on the bee hovering over the orange juice in my acrylic cup. How do you know? There was yearning anxiety in her voice. She's looking for reassurance. I know, I just know, I answered. Gloria seemed taken aback by the conviction in my voice. What else was there to say? You either believe or you don't. Harold admired my father, Gloria said after some seconds of silence. I know, he's talked about him. My dad died of cancer, she went on, and he always said he wanted to go out laughing. I remembered. Harold had shared several affectionate anecdotes about his father-in-law. She grew soft and subdued, delving further into the past. He was very ill towards the end. I sat at his feet, put my head in his lap and said, Daddy, you have to let go. He died shortly after that. Gloria was lost in her memories. My presence ceased to matter. She needed to talk, and I let her. Her voice was heavy with remembered loss. To be continued.